All right, all right. Hey, everybody, it's Dave Cooper, davecooper.live. I hope everybody is doing great today. Man, this is going to be a fun week. This is the kickoff week, Building Systems Week at the National Association of Home Builders. So it kicks off today at 2 p.m. We'll put some details up. You see it in the scroller below there. So if you are not registered, you need to register. It is free. It is free. It is free. And we have some great speakers. In fact, one of those speakers who's going to be doing a presentation tomorrow for Building Systems Week is going to be on this show in 1 second. His name is Michael Weber. Hit that like, share button right now. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We really would appreciate if you go to our YouTube channel and also subscribe. That way, if you miss any of our episodes, you can always go back there and watch them at any time. So without further ado, this is going to be a short show today. Let's bring in Michael Weber to our show. Hey, Michael, how are you today?
Good morning, Dave. I'm doing great. Thanks.
I love that you're taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to unofficially, but unofficially kick off Building Systems Week, right? Because it's going to start in about an hour.
And we're talking about concrete, and I love talking about concrete.
Yeah, no, this is great. So just so everybody knows, Michael, I mean, you've been around the Building Systems Council since I've been around and way before. You helped really build it to what it is today. So if I had a hat on, I'd say my hat's off to you for everything that you've done. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of your background? Can you give us everything from the time you were born until now in 5 minutes?
Well, that's a task, okay?
Cliff notes.
Let me just talk about my professional career. It has typically always been in the concrete industry. Prior to going to college, I was in my family's ready mix and sand and gravel business. Following graduation, I went to work full-time there and actually realized I didn't want to be in my family's ready mix and sand and gravel business, and relocated for my wife's career to Southwest Michigan, where I was fortunate to be a part of what became the largest ready mix and block producer. And following that, an opportunity came up with the Portland Cement Association to head their above grade concrete wall program on a national scale. It even grew to represent the industry at an international level. So from there, I became very active in the National Association of Home Builders at the national level. I became part of the Building Systems Council as well as the Leading Suppliers Council. My role with the Building Systems Council really developed when we formed the Concrete Home Building Council within the councils to represent all cement-based building systems and concrete products.
Right.
So that's and I'm still a trustee on the Building Systems Council. I've been very active in the New American Home, spearheaded by the Leading Suppliers Council, and there have been, I think, about 7 New American homes that have been built out of all different types of concrete systems.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is interesting, right? Because concrete right now is seeing quite a bit of growth as far as new home construction. You've been in this industry a long time, and I want everybody to know this is going to be a 25-minute show today. We're going to cover a lot of ground real quick. We're going to educate you on this stuff, but to get to the real meat and potatoes, you're going to have to join tomorrow at 10:30 to listen to Michael Weber talk about panelized construction and versatility for every project. So, Michael, with that said, concrete homes right now are up 46% from 2018 to 2019. You've been in this business since you're folk, right? Since a family business. Nobody knows this better than you, and you're probably one of the most well-known, respected people in the concrete industry. So talk us through this a little bit and what's going on.
Well, I think you've got factors like the fires out west. Concrete's a non-combustible product. There are claddings that are non-combustible, whether it's stucco or fiber cement, siding options, as well as concrete roof tile. So, from that standpoint, you're getting a lot of attention. High wind events are more frequent than what they have ever been. So when you're talking about wind blowing down a wall, a concrete wall system makes a whole lot more sense than the alternatives. And there's a lot of different types of systems there. The other aspect to a concrete wall system are projectiles. A lot of the damage, a lot of the injuries take place by high wind events, and I'm talking hurricanes, tornadoes, with a lot of debris flying through the air. And when you look at wood-based structures are the predominant building material in this country. When you go outside of this country, concrete is. Cement-based building materials are. So when you're looking at the safety side of it, from high wind events or from fire, concrete makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And I think that's what's really leading a lot of this. Prior to this, when energy costs were really high, energy savings were one of the big selling points. But now this is more than just about helping save your energy bill, which a concrete wall system does. This is about life safety.
Right.
Many builders, in order to learn how to build with a concrete system, will start with just building a safe room in a home. And on commercial projects outside of the residential market, a lot of states are mandating that school systems and community centers are constructed with safe rooms in order to provide shelter from a storm, whether it's a hurricane or a tornado. So I think that's driving a lot of this.
Yeah.
And of course, lumber prices skyrocketing is not going to hurt the fact that concrete prices have been very stable over many years. And it's a great opportunity to investigate what the options are out there.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, in high wind areas, fire areas, concrete really makes for, a great use or case use, I guess, study, because it is all those things. It has the durability to withstand the wind and the fire better than most products that are out there today. And I mean, look what's happening out west right now. I mean, it's just devastating what's going on. And look at the South. I mean, they're just getting pummeled hurricane after hurricane coming through. So, you're absolutely right on that front. You were also talking about, the benefits of, the energy efficiency of concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through this a little bit, because I know when I go in my basement, it's always the same temperature, cold.
Well, a concrete wall provides you with mass.
Right.
And so because of that, if you've got insulation on both sides, like in an insulated concrete form, or if you've got insulation on the inside, you have the mass of the concrete. Now, if it's on the inside of the insulation, it just keeps from having any air blowing through. Notice in a stick frame home how around the outlets it tends to be colder. Well, that's because the batt insulation typically goes around the electrical box and you've got voids in there. With a concrete wall system, it's solid concrete. Now, if you have the concrete directly on the inside and it's a finished wall to the concrete, you get the benefits of the thermal mass. Thermal mass, what that does is it heats or cools the concrete up to that temperature. Concrete will not change temperatures very fast. And that's the way they were building homes, the adobe homes in the Southwest. By the time it warmed up, it cooled down during the evenings. So the temperature didn't really fluctuate on the inside. So energy savings are dramatic with a concrete wall system, whether it's insulated on both sides, inside, one side, a lot of benefits to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's take a look. We got a couple comments coming in real quick. So why don't we hit them since we're on short time today?
One thing I wanted to point out is when we're talking a concrete home, there's a lot of misconceptions that it won't look right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concrete homes out there that you would never know because you can clad them with any type of siding, roofing. They'll look like any other home. And so
Yeah.
you don't necessarily know that maybe you have a concrete home in your neighborhood even.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that'll be a great thing to actually talk about and round out our session, because there's different types of concrete systems that one can use to build. And I think having a high overview of what, these are some of the systems. And then you're absolutely right. It's no different than any other system. It's like getting dressed. It depends on how you want to dress your house, whether it's concrete or other materials. So I highly, definitely agree. So you may know this person, Tiffany McCall. Hello, Dave
Tiffany.
and Mike. Tiffany. All right. How about this one? We got Greg Ugaldi, the immediate past chairman of the NAHB. Dave and Jen, big hello to Michael Weber. We sat next to each other in NAHB exec. All right.
That's right. A U
Always.
and a W, and we sat next to each other. Sometimes it was in the back row, and they rotated. So sometimes it was in the front row.
Well, I know if you're sitting next to Greg, it probably wasn't short for conversation. No, sir. He definitely is one smart guy. All right. So George Ryman, I was researching the viability of setting up an advanced automated precast concrete plant to prefabricate concrete homes. However, the high transportation cost to move the prefabricated modules was high and inconsistent, market dependent. What's your thoughts on that?
Transportation costs in any industry are tough. And I've got a background in the precast industry, and I know exactly what you're talking about. My suggestion there is to build close to where your market's going to be. Right. A large metropolitan area that would have the likelihood of maybe a lot of tract housing, high wind areas where you're going to have a lot of production housing. So you're close. And then your transportation costs are not as high as what they would be otherwise.
Sure. And that's the same with most system built structures, right? Yeah, obviously weight on one's bigger than another, but transportation's an issue across the board as far as, well, it's not an issue, it's a cost.
For precast, it typically was about a 300-mile radius.
Yeah, right. Perfect. All right, we got Dr. Brent Musson from out west. Can you speak to the low R value of concrete for markets like Los Angeles, where the hot weather season is getting longer and longer?
Well, depending upon the system that you're looking at, your building codes are not requiring a lot of insulation, maybe 2 inches of insulation. So, from that standpoint, one system would be maybe a more competitively priced, one concrete system than another concrete system. So there are options there. In that particular market, having a system to where you might have the benefits of the thermal mass. So maybe the insulation would be in the center of the wall or on the exterior rather than on both sides of the wall. So it's viable. And in that type of climate, you're not going to have as much insulation as what you would as if it was in Minnesota, let's say, or even Ohio or Indiana.
Right. Love it. All right, listen, everybody. We are live with Michael Weber right now, and Michael Weber is also one of the presenters at Building Systems Week tomorrow at 10:30. Registration is free. I'm just, not that I've been saying this, but I'm gonna right in the link below there. Let's go and sign up, because you're going to learn a lot more from Michael Weber in that webinar, because we only have 25 minutes today. So Michael, like we were just saying, I think it would be great to give everybody an understanding of what type of concrete systems there are out there, because I think this is something that will probably come up, throughout the week.
And I'll go into much greater detail on that tomorrow when we have more time. The most popular system is concrete masonry block, is how most people speak about it. And that would be predominantly throughout the Southeast. Florida would have the highest concentration. And then you've got removable form systems to where the insulation can be put on the inside, outside, middle of the wall. Those are the systems to where they build the forms. And after the concrete gets hard, next day they take the forms off. It's a removable form. So the next system would be insulated concrete forms. That's a stay-in-place form. A lot of people say, well, they're like Lego blocks. They piece together. Some are in panelized systems. Some are individual blocks. and you stack the blocks and then fill them with concrete. They stay in place, and you put whatever types of claddings, and on the interior you actually would be putting drywall. So, and then there are the shotcrete type systems to where they will build the forms, the walls with the insulation, and have wire reinforcement on both sides of that insulation. And then they spray concrete onto both sides of that insulation and wire reinforcement. So you end up with concrete on both sides of an insulated wall that is reinforced. And then there's precast, as a question just came up, to where the insulation is typically cast on top of the first layer, the first concrete wipe, and that's reinforced, the insulation, and then you have casting of concrete on top of that insulation.
Right.
Autoclaved aerated concrete, very localized to where there's plants, but those are primarily the systems.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a ton of options out there, and they all have their own use cases, right? Depending on what it is you're trying to achieve and build.
What makes the biggest difference is the contractor, who you have, and what system they build with.
Right.
That's going to make it the most competitive and the most easy to adopt for your own building project.
Right. Right. Love it. Love it. All right. So there's going to be a bonus with your whole, I guess, webinar or whatever we're going to panel tomorrow, right? Because you guys are going to release some concrete resources presented during Building Systems Week. So this is going to be a resource and a value to somebody who's interested in doing concrete work. So you want to tell us a little bit about this resource?
Maybe I don't know about this resource.
Oh, it's coming. I saw it on the.
Well, in regards to resources that I'm aware of,
yeah.
You've got the cement.org, which is Portland Cement Association's website. A couple of the resources, if you are a builder looking to get into it, there's a standard called PCA 100. That is actually how you design above grade concrete walls to meet the standards. And then you've got the American Concrete Institute's residential concrete standard. So there are standards in which to build. The engineers, architects, they're all familiar with concrete and concrete structures. And these are the tools for the residential low rise 1-2 story type buildings that are available.
Sure. Love it. Love it. Well, there's going to be a ton of resources, and there's a ton of speakers this week. So listen, if you guys are out there, now is the time to register. We are actually going live on our Zoom call, but you have to be registered with the Building Systems Council for the Building Systems Week at the NAHB. You can see it right below, NAHB/subsites BSW webinar series. It's free. It's free. It's free. Michael, that's all the time we have for today because we got to get busy with Building Systems Week, man.
That's great. Thank you, Dave, for the opportunity.
Yeah, I love it. So if you're listening in, coming up at 1 o'clock, we have the MMC, Modular Mobilization Coalition. Vaughn Buckley and Colby Swanson are going to be on this panel at 1 p.m. talking about what they're doing. They're going to talk a little bit about the project that we just set. I say we as if I did it. It wasn't me, but I was there talking about it in Washington, D.C. And what was really cool about that, Michael, is it was the first modular multifamily building ever to be built in Washington, D.C. Can you believe that? Yeah. So, all right, everybody, go ahead.
I'm always available on LinkedIn. I'm fortunate enough that this is my day job. So I get to talk about this all the time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And here's your information. Here's Michael's information. There's the website. The Usalid Chemical is where Michael is the business development manager and works and spends a lot of his time. But you can find him pretty much anywhere. He's big at the NAHB. He's big at the BSC. I mean, he gets to sit next to Greg Ugaldi. So I'm sure if you really want to get a hold of Michael, you just Google him. You'll pop right up there. Yeah. So you probably have your own wiki page at this point.
Nah, no.
All right. Listen. Well, hey, listen, Michael, I'm really looking forward to emceeing and being part of your presentation tomorrow. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to hop on today. Seriously, folks, this is something you need to sign up for. You need to support the Building Systems Week and come learn about everything that we're doing, because there is a disruption happening in the home building space right now, and Building Systems is a big part of that disruption. So join us, and we will see you at 1 o'clock this afternoon if you're attending. If not, we'll see you again tomorrow at 10:30 with Michael Weber. Michael, have a good one.
Thank you. You too, Dave.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.